He is indeed an iconic figure who has contributed so much to Las Vegas to make us the #1 tourist attraction for hotel and casino in the world, without a doubt. First of all, the hotel school out at UNLV, he was one of the creators and founders of that hotel school out there. Secondly, I worked for Mr. Paulos when he opened up, if you read, the Luxor Hotel. And you know that a lot of our hotels became theme hotels. Not like Caesars, not like some of the other hotels that are theme hotels. He actually met with the government of Egypt to get the authentic culture of Egypt. Hieroglyphics were authentic. When people came there, they were taking pictures because it was like visiting Egypt. If you go in to Luxor, you'll see everything you see is authentic. This is the gentleman that made that happen. He really did his due diligence, but that's Bill Paulos for you. Mr. Paulos had thousands of employees, including myself. I was hired in surveillance. And I still taught at the school, but that was a learning experience. I had a meeting with Mr. Paulos, and I said, do you remember that lecture or how you got us all excited about the grand opening of the Luxor? And he said, yeah. You know, just, it wasn't a big deal to him because that's his norm. In my classes, I always address all of you students as leaders of people. Leaders of people, let me have your attention. Because I wanted to reinforce in your mind that indeed, that's where you're headed. You're going to be leaders of people, and that takes accountability, and it also takes great leadership. We've had a lot of speakers here, iconic speakers. We had Elaine Wynn. But I'm going to tell you, there's no one that I can think of that I've interfaced with, whether it's the boards, the Gons. I mean, I've interfaced with a lot of our movers and shakers that made this town great. And when it comes to getting people excited, I would say Bill Paulos and Steve Wynn are the ones that really can get you excited about a project. Mr. Paulos is, I can say, a good friend, but more than that, he's been a mentor to me. Whether it was back when I was a young, thin, impressionable student at UNLV and hotel. He's also a big booster, so we interfaced when I was a student athlete. He's just been a big part of my life, and I was really, really pleased because I know how busy he is, that he said yes, he would come. And I think I caught him at a weak moment at a Rebel basketball game. So, so he's, okay, Lottie, I'll do it. Without any further ado, Mr. William Paulos, will you please join us up front?
So how's everybody this morning? Outstanding. I like outstanding. Outstanding is very good. Okay, now I need to know a couple of things. This is going to be interactive because I'm not a very good speaker. So if I read a speech here and try to come with all these fancy words, the largest word I know is hamburger, okay? So we'll all understand what I say today. I am absolutely no different than any of you. How I got here is very strange. How I stayed here could be stranger. And I was extremely fortunate to work with some of the icons in our business. I come from New Jersey, right outside of New York. I went to high school in the Bronx, about a block away from Yankee Stadium. I started college, I got an associate applied science degree at the State University of New York at Delhi. That's all I wanted. I was never what anybody would call Bill Paulos, the student. I loved to work. When I was in high school, I was an elevator operator at the Waldorf Astoria in New York, the world famous Waldorf Astoria in New York. I used to take the ambassador to the United Nations, Adlai Stevenson, to his penthouse suite every night. I was 14, 15 years old. I wore one of those little gray suits with the little pillbox hat. You guys probably have never seen it. But that's what I did. And then I would go to school at 7 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd get out of school. I'd go to work, and I'd take the last bus back to New Jersey and get home about 2 o'clock in the morning and do it all over again. Then one summer during high school, I worked as a short order cook. I was graduating. My cousin worked for Sheraton Hotels in New York, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the hospitality business. I always wanted to be. All I wanted to do was graduate, go back to New York City, work in one of the big hotels, and see what I could do. In between our final exams, so me and my friends, we were drinking in this bar about 2 days before graduation, and our favorite professor came. And he said, fellas, I just got hired to open up a brand new hospitality school in Nevada Southern University. Do you all know what Nevada Southern University was or is? That's UNLV now, okay? That was in 1967. We didn't know what to do. I just wanted to go work. He said they'd take all our credits and we could get a bachelor's degree in 2 years. But we said, yeah, okay. So I said, if I can figure out how to afford it, we'll do it. I came out here and with a Foot Locker and a $10,000 student loan. I was a waiter in the Catskill Mountains for the summer, and I had about $5,000 other cash that was mine. And that was it. That's what I came out to Las Vegas with. So here we are. We know no one. It's 110 degrees on September 11th, 1967. We're saying, what in God's name have we done? But we stayed, and we graduated. In 1969, we got our bachelor's degree, and that is the exact same year that they changed the name from Nevada Southern University to UNLV. We'll scamper on. I got out of the university, and my first job was in Mobile, Alabama. It was culture shock for them and me. I lasted about a year. Something I just couldn't agree with what was going on with the segregationists and the like. I would have to stop at the police station every morning. And I would pick up some of my staff who would be arrested for breaking curfew because they were out past 9 o'clock at night. I came back to Las Vegas, and I did a number of different jobs because I had a goal and I had a vision for myself. We all got to know each other and know ourselves. The biggest thing is look in the mirror, because you need to say, what can I do? What am I good at? What am I not so good at? And sometimes you can't strengthen things you're not so good at. So I wanted to be a general manager. I was better at a multitude of things okay than being an expert at one thing. Doesn't matter what you want to do, but you got to be introspective. I was young. I was married. I did have a couple of kids then. I have a lot of kids now and a lot of grandkids. Got number 10 grandchild coming. So I've got a large family. So I took jobs so I could learn different aspects of the business. My favorite thing to do was food and beverage, and that was my early on, that was my jobs. And then my big break came in 1980 when I was hired by Bill Bennett. Like Sam Boyd, like Steve Wynn, they made this town. They knew what it was to take care of people. Bill Bennett, and everybody had a different way of doing it. Bill Bennett had a way of doing it is he wanted tourism to flourish and he wanted to service the masses, those middle-income families that came in. So there was Circus. And I was hired in 1980 when I was 33 years old after a 7-year stint with a hotel company called Fred Harvey, in case the Marina Hotels. At 27 years old, I was transferred back into Las Vegas by Fred Harvey, okay, to run and be the general manager of the Marina, okay? And I had all the non-gaming. That was what AmFac was responsible for. And that's where I got my first taste into really running hotels, casinos together, okay, and running the whole show. So we had 700 rooms at the time. It was like the second or third largest hotel in the city at the time. Now it's barely a wing of a hotel in one of our properties. Bennett hired me from the Marina, and I went over and I took over their hotel operations at Circus. It was fun. We were opening 800 rooms back in a manor, and we did all kinds of different things for Circus to make it as fun as we could possibly make it. Mr. Bennett called me up to his office a year later, and he was a very, very interesting guy, very straightforward. He minced no words, and he threw me a set of keys as I walked in. And I'm going like that. And he used to call me college boy because I was the only executive that went to college at Circus at the time, and I was like 33, I think. Threw me a set of keys, and he says, "There's a place across the street I just bought. It's called the Silver City. Silver City doesn't have any hotel rooms, Paulos." He said, "It only has a casino. You've never run a casino before. Learn." He threw me those keys, and I went over to Silver City, and he said, "Make me a list of what you need." And I made a list of what I needed, and I walked over to him. I gave him a list, and he said, "Here you go, get everything you need." And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm peacocked out. I got my big smile on, and he said, "What are you smiling about?" I said, "Well, I just got everything I needed, or I wanted." He said, "Mr. Paulos, when I fire you, I don't want you to ever say that I didn't give you absolutely everything to work with to be a success." And that was the first of 14 glorious years of opening properties for Circus. From there, I went down and we took over in Laughlin the Edgewater, and I built the expansion to the Edgewater. And then as I was running the Edgewater, I built the Colorado Bell. And the Colorado Bell, my only claim to fame really is the fact that I was quoted in the Wall Street Journal, which really strange. I'm taking a bunch of reporters through the Colorado Bell, and I'm just, talking, rambling like I'm doing now. And I said, this obviously is the biggest boat built in the desert since Noah. That was in 1983. Wynn had just gone public. Just gone public in 1983, and we were about to go public. And so Wall Street Journal was covering us. And they just started covering casinos. And the lady's name is Pauline Yoshihashi, and somebody calls me up the next day. He says, "Your name is you're quoted in the Wall Street Journal." I said, "What?" And she used that quote in her article in the Wall Street Journal, and that's my one real claim to fame. From the Colorado Bell, I came up, and Bennett made me general manager of Circus while I was in charge of getting the Excalibur designed and built. We built it. I went over and opened it. It was the largest hotel in the world by 800 rooms. So we crushed it. Okay? The only problem is there was never a small emergency. Okay? You got a 125 room Holiday Inn. Somebody forgets to order the flash plates on your plugs. All right, go out and get me 125, 130 flash plates. Oh, we forgot to order the flash plates for the Excalibur. Oh, get me 10,000 as quickly as you can. NEC Telephone Corp at the time had to put together 2 university systems in order for us to service the 4,000 rooms. I want to do a tournament of champions. I want to do a jousting contest. Oh, and I want to do 2 dinner shows. He sat, and Mr. Bennett would sit behind his desk and look over his glasses at you, okay? And he said, everybody's closing their dinner shows. I says, exactly. And ours will be a fun dinner show. He says, okay, Mr. Paulos, are you willing to bet your career on it? I said, well, we gamble every day, I might as well. So that came, hence came the Tournament of Champions, who for at least the first 11 years never had an empty seat at either show. Oh, and when I was walking out of Bennett's office, I says, oh, Mr. Bennett, let me tell you, we're not going to give the people utensils to eat with. Then he really thought I was crazy. But it's still going. It's still going strong, and it's been a terrific show for them. Then we went on to do the Luxor. As I was managing the Excalibur, we were designing and starting to build the Luxor, which obviously is as demanding a project as I've ever been on. Just a quick note, what was so tense was the way this is structured. The sides are part of the structural engineering. So as they leaned against each other, it created how strong the structure would be. We had a 3-inch leeway for the first 10 floors. If we were off those 3 inches, it wouldn't work. Now again, I was just there to yell and scream at the contractors. They had to do the work, and they got it, and they got it done right, and it's been a terrifically successful hotel. They've changed it dramatically since I was there, but it was a terrific hotel when and still is, quite frankly. Then I went to Australia. I was hired by a group in Australia. Some of you, if you're in the gaming business or know of the gaming business, there was a fellow by the name of Kerry Packer. Kerry Packer was one of the largest players here in Nevada, and always a thorn in the side to the management of these various casinos. But he and another fellow were building a place in Melbourne, Australia, and asked me if I would come and do it for them. And I took a convention center and made it the busiest casino in the world for about 8 months as we were designing and building Crown Casino, which is on the banks of the Yarra River. If you ever get a chance to go to Australia and go there, spectacular, spectacular. Came back as president of Prim Resorts. Some of you may be thinking I couldn't keep a job. But I was very fortunate in being offered these various positions, these challenging positions. Prim at the time had just gone public and was in a little bit of a situation with the SEC, and we got him out of that situation and had them flourish, and then we built New York with MGM, was our partners. So we got that started, we got that built, and we came up with the with the Texas shootout clause is after a certain amount of time, one partner can go to the other partner and say, I'm going to buy you out. And I'm going to pay you $75 million for your half of New York, New York. But the catch is, I can say, I'm going to give you 76. See you later. And that's what a Texas shootout is. So when you're offering that, you better make sure you got the right, get the right number. Well, they had the right number, and Mr. Prim cashed out and went home, and that's when we started Cannery Resorts. The state asked me to take over the Rampart, which was in bankruptcy. And we went up to the bank, we went up there and turned it around and did some things and made it a very successful hotel. It's really successful today. And it was a great place. It was fun to turn around. Then we built Greektown Casino in Detroit. We built Cannery Casino in North Las Vegas. Then we built Cannery Casino on Boulder Highway. And then we built Meadows Casino and Racetrack. We bought a racetrack in Pennsylvania, and quite frankly, our dealings with Boyd go back years and years. We actually took Boyd's position at the Meadows and took that over. We spent about $750 million and built one of the largest regional casinos in the country. When we opened, we had 3,700 slot machines, 100 table games, and it was a great run. It was a really good run. Penn's REIT, GLFI or something like that, bought us out about a year before Boyd bought the canneries. So now, my wife likes to say I'm semi-retired. I bought a little newspaper in town as a favor to a friend called Gaming Today. Gaming Today is a little newspaper that you find in all the race and sports books. We're now in all the sports books around the country. I also developed a marketing company. And we have digital marketing that has gamification. They have a March Madness contest at the PTs. That's our program. Okay, and we have throughout the PTs this in 17, 18 casinos around the country. We drive people, okay, from your website into properties. Online gaming, just a fact. Only people that go online gaming, about 6 to 8% of them actually spend money. So my company churns the other 94%. I want those not spending money because I know they're gamblers, because they're in there playing, and I know if I drive them into bricks and mortars, we're very successful. Gamification is getting somebody to play a game that gets a reward and brings them and gets them to do what you'd like them to do. You understand that? Do you get that? All right, guys. Goals. So what I did, I says, okay, here's my goal. I'm going to eventually have 4 children. I want to leave $1 million to each of my 4 children. That was my goal. I didn't care how I did it. I didn't care what route I was taking at the time, but I said, that's my goal. So you don't have to have this, oh my God, I'm going to be this, What is your goal for where you want to be 10 years from now? Okay? And then, how do I get there? That's the key. You need a vision for yourself. And let me figure out how I get there. I figured out, for me, the best way was learn as many jobs as I can. I washed dishes. I was an elevator operator. I was a waiter. I was a bartender. I was a food and beverage director. I was an accountant. I was the first guy that did P&L, daily P&L sheets for the Fremont Hotel back in 1971. I didn't have an accounting degree, I had a hotel degree. And what that taught me, and by the way, we didn't do it on computers. We did it on adding machines. I know most of you think I could use an abacus too, but the truth of the matter is that's how we did it. It gave me an incredible knowledge of how everything came in from the various departments. And I could then organize them in my mind. So you want to learn everything about the various jobs you're doing. Now, many of us, it's not that easy, okay, to go right up and be the food and beverage director of a place. You take circuitous routes, but you're almost serpentining, okay, to get to where you want to go. Whatever job you do, whatever job you get, be the best at it as you can be. Learn it as well as you can, because you're going to need it later in our industry. Our industry is a bunch. If you're running or if you are in a Boyd property, great properties, great management, great people. Every property runs 5, 6, 7 different businesses. Some run 8, 9, 10 different businesses. Everywhere you go, every place you start, learn it as well as you can. That's what helps you later on. Look the part, play the part. There is no question. I am absolutely impressed today in the appearance of this group. You all look dressed well, look good. That's so important. Again, okay, standing before you is a guy who's been around the world and built something like 12 or 13 major hotel casinos around the world. I was very quick to answer, not a good idea. Think before you respond. Be thoughtful in your response, but be confident in your response. Be careful when you take a stand on things, okay? I have a grandson. My eldest grandson is in the second year of medical school. I contend he should have been a lawyer because he will argue about anything. I mean, if I say it's time to go to wake up, he says it's time to go to bed. And he's just that wonderful kid. He's a really good kid. But he likes to banter. When you're dealing with your supervisors, okay, you want to make sure you're on firm ground with giving your opinion. Don't be afraid to give your opinion, but don't argue everything. Always choose the argument that you think is most worthwhile to you and to the organization. If you argue everything, you kind of lose some of your effectiveness, and you can only be confident if you know your subject, which goes back to one of the first points. Whatever you do, whenever you're doing it, study it, know it. If your first job is a desk clerk, know everything about the desk clerk. get the jargon down as fast as you can. Because once you have the jargon, you look like you know something. Always find something to do. You want to get ahead? Always look busy. Don't just be saying there, you got 8 hours. You got a shift. Okay? Be busy. There's plenty of things to do with what you do. No matter what job it is. Look busy. If you want to get ahead, that's how you get ahead. And that's how you keep learning. You don't need to be there chatting or that, that's for break time. Be inquisitive. Ask questions. If you don't know something, go to your supervisor and ask them. They're happy to help. 99.9% are happy to share their knowledge. That's what it's all about. Don't be afraid to stretch your skills. Don't be afraid to take that next step, because that's how you progress. Everybody gets tentative. The way you progress is you take that step that you didn't think well, I can't do this. If any of you are shy in here, talk to the mirror. Get out and talk with people. That is central to our business. We create memories for people every day. That's what our job is, to create good memories. I want to remember his restaurant. I want to remember that foie gras that I ate in your restaurant that was sensational. I want to remember that. So, goals, vision of yourself, confidence. Have confidence in yourself. No matter what, you're going to trip and fall. I got fired from Prim. I had never been fired in my life. President of a publicly traded company, and I get booted out. What am I to do? Now I'm a pretty visible person in Las Vegas at the time. Okay, I built some of the biggest buildings. People knew me. Now how do I go out amongst the people? Well, what I did the next Saturday after I got fired, I was invited to go to one of the heavyweight fights. I went to one of the heavyweight fights, and there was a cocktail party. Everybody that was supposedly somebody was there, right? Well, the guy that fired me was there. I went over to him. I shook his hand and said, "Great seeing you, Gary. I hope everything's fine." Everybody in that room saw that, and they knew who the bigger person was. That's how you conduct yourself. Questions?
As we know, we have the mobile check-in card and self-service customer checking, and mobile phone checking. And I'm the old school style person, so I honestly I don't like the technique that kind of technique. So my feelings like I wish like. The reason why at a hotel is like I want to enjoy the good furniture, and I want to enjoy the room service. I want to feel like a guard and enjoy the service that people give. So would you think the technique will really change the hotel, or just the so-so?
Great question. Here's what I believe, okay, is you have pendulums, okay, and the pendulum swings. Right now, we're swinging toward the tech side, but it will become, as we did in slots, when we went away from change girls, we had to hire more floor people. So more floor people could interact with the customers, okay? And I believe that's what's going to happen. You're going to see more hosts, okay, in hotel lobbies, so that while you're checking in, you're going to be touched, okay, by a host. So instead of that person checking you in, that person is going to greet you and say, "Hi, how are you?" and help you to the room. "Can I help you with bell service?" and the like.
So I'm not as old as Professor Wright, but I do remember Bill Bennett. And I was wondering if you could just discuss Bill Bennett's philosophy on treating his employees.
Bill Bennett was as good as anybody around in treating his employees, and he taught me a tremendous amount about that. Number one, okay, we were rewarded. Our pay was almost 75% bonus. It was rewards driven. He was a master. As I told you those two quick stories about Bennett asking me would I gamble my career on my decision for the dinner shows and the like. He was the best at bringing you up and absolutely taking you apart. Okay? But you would never leave his office without him building you back up and making you feel like you were a special member of the team. After we sold our company, we gave every single of our 5,000 employees a check from the proceeds of the sales. Every single one. Because they're the reason we were successful. 100%. Yeah, I led them, but they did all the work.
Thank you. The hospitality industry is very competitive, and when you want to be a manager, there's always, people that look for so much experience and so much education. Are you the type of person that sees, like, if an applicant has an associate's degree but has many years of experience over an applicant that has a master's and limited experience? And then, like, a follow-up question, do you think that when an applicant has more experience in the field, they see their potential employees as more of employees and not just a number, as opposed to someone that's only been, like, educated and has a master's? Do you think those are the type of managers that only want results and see their employees as numbers and not really as, like, the people that they are?
Dr. Wright, don't shoot me for this. I have never asked in 50 years what somebody's GPA was. Ever. Ever. Now, depending upon the job, and I've got two applicants, one with a master's degree, one with an associate of applied science degree that has more experience, well, that experience is their master's degree. So they're on equal footing, as far as I'm concerned. So now, I'm looking at, and you're very good at this, I'm looking if you're looking me in the eye when you're talking to me. I'm looking if you're sitting up straight when you're talking to me. I'm looking as if you're neat, put together when you're talking to me. All right? Then we'll discuss the job, okay, and the certain aspects of the job. So if you got this experience, you should have real answers to what I'm saying or asking. All right? If you don't have the experience, or you have the experience but you didn't learn anything, you fall short.
I chose the career of food and beverage a long time ago because of passion to serve people, passion to create smiles. I have a vision, clear vision of what I want to do. I sometimes have a hard time transferring that vision towards my staff as they're motivated, monetarily motivated. So what advice do you have to motivate my staff on a vision, passion, as opposed to monetary? I always say, do the best, money will come, but sometimes I have a hard time translating that.
So now you're in, you're in a business, you're running a restaurant. You're running a restaurant, and the people at the restaurant, okay, they're looking at, okay, it's 20% of how much? Right? And, no. I want 4 tables. I don't want 3 tables. I don't care if the service is better. I want my 4 tables. It's like the kid on the basketball team saying, I don't care if we win or lose, I just want my points. Right? So how do you overcome that? How do we look and say, okay, I want this team to want to succeed and to evolve into the next scenario?
And based on your experience, what do you see for the future of hospitality in Las Vegas? And the second one is more specific. It's about what do you think are the effects of the new Raiders Stadium on the city, not only on the hospitality world, but also on the society?
Where do I see Las Vegas? I see Las Vegas prospering, okay? Because Las Vegas it's amazing over the last 50 years, the various cycles we have been through in changing who we are. We are no longer, and this could be a sin to say this, but this is my opinion. We are no longer a gambling city. Gambling happens to be a number one amenity in what we have in Las Vegas. And I'm talking about the Strip, not the local joints. We are an event-driven city today. Conventions, concerts, sporting events, that's what we are. And we're just going to get bigger at doing that with the expansion of the convention center. My greatest fear, as I walk through some of these places, is there is a tremendous amount of deferred capital X spending, okay? Now, CapEx spending, okay, is rehabbing your place, making sure the rooms are still fresh, making sure the carpet isn't tattered. There has been more cost cutting than revenue generation. I believe that's a formula for ruin. When I started in the gaming business in 1970, 90% of the revenue came from gaming. 90%. Today, it's 37% on the Strip. That's a major difference. Technically, if we look at the Strip's numbers, it has been flat. Gaming revenue has been flat for the last 7 or 8 years. A little dip. This year got up to about 5-6 years ago, the level. But we're actually more flat than rising. Slot floors have less slot machines on them, a la the Raiders. The Raiders are an event, but they're really only an event for 9 weeks. That's about it, okay? So they'll be great. There's a time of the year they'll really help the economy. So that'll be fine. We've also got 5,000 more rooms coming on board in the not too distant future. So that's going to help them. So that'll be good. I believe they have to have at least 50 or 60 events annually in that stadium to make it worthwhile. That's all my own belief. The Golden Knights made us a legit go Knights. That made us really a legitimate city. Okay? It gave us, we're a 2.5 million person valley, all right? And now we have a real professional hockey team. It makes us a city that I think culturally, that's also helped by the Raiders being here. Now, would I have liked another football team personally? Yeah, but I'd like to see more non-casino industry, okay, come around and get a more diverse economy.
are there any personal tips or recommendations that you have for leaders of people and for future leaders of people before entering the hospitality industry?
Good. You really, I didn't pay him any money to say that. Set your goals. Have your vision. Know what you want to do. And when I say know what you want to do, you don't have to say, oh, I want to be this or I want to be that. But know that you want to go through, okay, and get that first job and be successful and find out what you enjoy. You may not like food and beverage. By the way, gain confidence in yourself. Confidence in yourself. Confidence in yourself. Now, confidence in yourself is not walking around like I'm Mr. Wonderful. Confidence is speaking up, looking into someone's eyes, giving a crisp, concise answer, knowing when to ask a question. But ask it. And then when you get an answer, keep it. If you don't understand the answer, ask again. That's my advice. Treat everybody you come in contact with as you want to be treated. If you're a masochist, leave now.